you said everything. So if anybody knows me well, they know that I like hands-on. I like to get down to it immediately. So without further ado, let's just jump right into the topic of discussion for today. That's introduction to SAM Accelerate. So SAM is a short for Serverless Application Model, and it's an open source infrastructure as code framework created and maintained by the good guys at AWS. So the thing is, this framework actually helps you build serverless apps a lot faster. You know, you can build and scale your apps in the cloud a lot faster. So when this product was initially created, right, it like any other product, there's a certain level of growth to that. So as the product is being used by the public, people are seeing people are seeing its shortcomings, and you know, if the developers of the product are not able to update that product within a specific amount of time, then the people who are using the products, developers who are using the products, will actually look for other alternatives. So when SAM was created, it was a great product, but as time went on, it came with its own shortcomings, and developers had to look for other ways in order to, you know, compensate for those shortcomings. So the guys at AWS now figure out they watch the feedback that was gotten from the developers using SAM, and they were like, okay, let's now bring up an update to SAM called SAM Accelerate. So SAM Accelerate is actually still in beta. It hasn't been pushed out as a stable version to the public yet. But it's still in beta, and I've built a couple of apps on it. You know, at the end of this tutorial, at the end of this workshop, I'll show you, I'll give you access to something bigger that I've built with SAM Accelerate, and it's really great, but it's still in beta. So SAM Accelerate, it's actually the fastest, is the quicker way of building serverless application using SAM. So let's jump right to it, right? I've created a sample, like a really basic GitHub SAM project. So I've put it on GitHub. So I'll share the link in the chats, because I believe in starting from first principles. That's why I created something really small that we can actually work on. And then at the end of this workshop, if you need something big, because I know you folks are solid, and you know, you're big engineers, you don't like playing around with little things too much, you like the big things. So that link at the end that I'll share will actually give you some great insights into what I'm talking about. So I'll share the first link that I'll be using, and I'll share my screen too. So I'll share my screen so you see how how everything is being put down. So the first thing is, okay, I've shared the link to the initial repo, to the sample repo that I'll be using for this workshop. I think, do I have access? Yeah, thanks guys for giving me access to, let's see, basic advanced.
Rosius, we've not received the link yet.
It's in the chats. Wait, oh no, I sent it to Mr. Emmanuel. Sorry. Let me send it to everybody. Sorry about that. Okay. So the first thing that I want to share is my terminal. Please let me know if you can see my terminal.
Yes, we can.
All right, so I already have that link copied, right? So what I'll do is that in order to create a SAM project, you actually need the SAM command line interface. So here I've made a couple of assumptions, and I think that I should actually walk you through the assumptions I've made before I get to this step. So the first thing, share. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, you can.
Yes,
Nice.
I can see your screen.
Thank you. So I'll assume that you already have the AWS command line interface tools installed on your computers, on your individual computers. And I would also assume that you have an AWS user account created. And then the IDE that I'll be using for programming will be PyCharm. I like PyCharm because the runtime language I'll be using will be Python. So I already have all my dependencies installed, and these are the assumptions I'll make. So with that said, let me get down to creating my SAM application. Okay, in order to create a SAM application, we will use the command SAM init. I'm actually in my documents folder. You can navigate to whatever folder you want your project to be in, and then you create your SAM project in that. So I'll navigate. So I'm in my documents folder, so I'll initialize my SAM project. So it actually gives me this prompt. So it says, which template source would you like to use? An AWS Quick Start template, or you have a custom template location? Actually, I have a custom template location, the GitHub link I just shared. So that's what I'm going to be using. So I'll go for the second option. So you will ask for the path to that. So I'll just paste. Oh, nope. I'm sorry, I think I've made a mistake here because I need to, in my documents folder, I need to create a folder where my project would be initialized in. So inside the documents folder, I'll create a folder called Ghana Workshop. And I'll cd into that folder. Okay, then now I can do SAM init. I'll select the second option, and then I'll paste the link to that. Okay, you've downloaded this. Is it okay to delete and re-download? Yeah, I want to do that. Oh, yeah, just. Okay, so it has actually been downloaded into my Ghana workshop folder. So now I'll open that folder in my favorite Python IDE, PyCharm. So I'll go ahead to share my PyCharm screen, and let's get down to it. So stop share. And PyCharm. So here I'll open the project the SAM project I just created, which is in my documents, and it's in Ghana Workshop. So nice. Can somebody let me know if they can see Ghana Workshop, the screen? Mr. Emmanuel, can you actually see my screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen. I don't think I see the Ghana workshop project.
Okay, thank you. That's just what I wanted to confirm. All right, so.
I think what I see is some workshop basic introduction.
Exactly, thanks for that.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, so now I think you can see the Ghana workshop.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you. So this is actually a basic SAM application. So it has two Lambda handlers, and it has an API gateway, and it has the SAM template YAML file. where I've declared my API. That's my API gateway. And then I've declared two functions, really basic applications, so that you actually understand the SAM commands that will help you develop an application a lot quicker. And these SAM commands work as fast as that, like the speed is being maintained irrespective of the application size, because at the end of this workshop, I'll show you a project which is intermediate, but it runs the same. So here, this is what I want to start by demonstrating. So initially, SAM came with two commands for building and deploying. So we'll have the SAM build, and then we'll have the SAM deploy. The first thing I want to do here is to configure my environment. Just 1 minute. Okay. Now. Okay, so I'll open up the terminal. Thank you. And then I want to just build and deploy this application. So I have two Lambda functions. In the first Lambda function, I have in the hello world, hello Ghana Lambda function, it just outputs a status code of 200 and a message hello Ghana. And then in the hello world, it's the same thing, but it outputs hello world. So what I would simply do here is I would run SAM build for this to actually build my application. For SAM to actually build my application. So, all right, so my application has been built, and it actually tells me commands you can use next. So to invoke a function, you can use SAM local invoke to test the function in the cloud and stuff like that. But I want to actually go the old school way, right? So I want to deploy my application to the cloud. So the next command I'll use is SAM deploy, and I want them to guide me through the process. So let's say guided. I hit enter, and then it would ask for my stack name. So my stack name, I want to name the project my stack Ghana workshop. So that, and then I want it in that region. Confirm changes before deploy. Yeah, sure. Allow, yes, I want SAM to create roles, disable rollback. Nope, don't disable that. Hello world function may not have authorized, may not have authorization defined. Is this okay? Yes, it's okay. Yes. See suggestions. Yeah, I want that. And I have to wait for my application to build and deploy, and actually keep my fingers crossed so that it, I mean, sometimes some things happen and the application doesn't deploy. You know, there's an error or stuff like that, but I hope it just deploys and we get to test it, right? Deploy this change. Yes, yes, please do that for me. So, keep praying. Just kidding. Nice. So our stack has been successfully deployed, right? And we have had as output the two Lambda functions, the API gateways to actually, the endpoints to actually access the Lambda function. So let's go ahead to test if each of these Lambda functions will output their respective outputs we specified in their handlers. So I'll go ahead to copy the first endpoint and I'll test it. So I'll use a command line tool curl to actually test this endpoint. Make sure that everything works well. And you see it actually outputs the message for this Lambda function. So it outputs hello Ghana. And I can go ahead to test the next one. So yeah, our application is working well. You can start building Facebook from here. So, so this is just bare bones, right? What if we wanted to update? So I just say, hello Ghana, thanks for having me. I'm going ahead now to make updates to my Lambda function. And I expect that I see a comment. Okay, sorry, I got distracted by the comments. Yeah. So where was I? Yeah, like if we want to update our function, right, to do more, because if we need to create our Facebook application, we need people to be able to post pictures, comment, like, and stuff like that. So we'll go ahead to start by saying, adding something to the message that it has to output. And then when we do this update, right, we have to still do two things. We have to do SAM build. I'll go to this other terminal. I have to do SAM build so that SAM actually builds the application. Then we'll go SAM deploy just for that update. I still like the guided stuff, even though you can go without it. Yeah, Ghana workshop. Yes. Yes. Disable rollback, no. Hello world. Is this okay? Yes. Yes. Save configure, yes, do that. Then we wait for it to update our application. And we have to wait again, for that little update. So deploy this change set. So it's update in progress. And it has updated. So let's test it again. So go back, and it was actually the Ghana endpoint. So test it. And you see it outputs it like, hello Ghana, thanks for having me. But after developers did this, right, imagine how if your application is really big and and you have to be, time is not on your hands and you want to actually go faster. How do you keep on building and deploying for every little change you make? That's exactly where SAM Accelerate jumps in. So SAM Accelerate now helps you to deploy your application a lot quicker than this. So let's see an example of that. So now I'll go to the hello world endpoint. And I'll say hello world. Welcome to SAM Accelerate. And here, let's see the first command in SAM Accelerate called SAM Sync. So SAM Sync actually synchronizes your code in your SAM template a lot quicker with your local code with your remote code. So it does that sync a lot quicker. So under the hood, it actually performs your SAM build and SAM deploy, but a lot faster. Why? Because it actually separates your code, it separates your application into two different compartments. You have the code, which is the Lambda. The code has the Lambda. It has a Lambda layer. It has the API gateway, open API, and it has step functions. And then the rest of everything else apart from those four is configuration. So it actually keeps a track of when you touch code or when you touch configuration, and it gives you commands to actually build those individually. So now, if you've noticed, we have actually touched code. We have made an update to code. So there's a command to actually sync this update a lot quicker. So let's look at that. So the command is, we have SAM sync -- stack name, and our stack name was Ghana workshop -- code, like that. No, if we hadn't already deployed our application to the cloud, then I would have used just workshop. Just this alone, and it would have been perfect. You would have deployed our application to the cloud. You would have built and deployed to the cloud. But since I've already deployed, I just wanted to update this code change that I've made. So I have to add the code -- code option. And when I hit enter, I expect it to update the code a lot quicker. So enter, yeah, just proceed. And that's it. Like, let's go ahead. Why did I do this in this terminal? Let's go ahead to check out the hello world endpoint and see. You see the update, right? Just imagine the switch in developer productivity. Like, I've done this under maximum 7 seconds, but imagine if we had to do SAM deploy and SAM build. Each time you make one little update, you do SAM deploy and SAM build. So we can go ahead and add. Let me show you. Let's do it one more time, because it's really very interesting. I want to actually take a look at it again. So this message here will be, hello Ghana, thanks for having me. Come on. It was lovely. And I save this here, and then I come and run the same command, SAM sync. I only run you here now. SAM sync, stack name, which was Ghana workshop. Cool. That's it. Oh, cannot. Oh, yeah, no problem. It tries something without final versions. Anyway, let's see. It's a lot of. I hope it has updated and stuff like that. So it was, yeah, it was this one. Exactly. So just imagine that on your application, you just do the updates in the code, and you can immediately test that. Trust me, when I was building, there's an intermediate app that I was building. This SAM Accelerate actually helped me go. I had to move at least 10 times quicker than if I was using SAM build or SAM deploy. So that's the first exciting command with options available for SAM Accelerate, but that it doesn't end there. Let's look at more. Let's look at another one. Let's look at the resource. So in your SAM template, in your serverless application, we actually have resources. We have the API resources, we have the HTTP resources, we have the state machine resources, and then we have our function resources. So let me just show you what I'm talking about in the SAM. So this is actually a resource. So sometimes you just want only a specific resource to be updated in your application, right? You don't want or everything. You don't want, let me say, the API gateway to be updated with its open API. You don't want, if maybe you have a state machine and you don't want that to be updated, you want just the functions to be updated. So you can actually, there's another command to actually use to update just the functions in your application. And that command goes as this. So we have something, we have the stack name, we have code, and then we have the resource, and they will specify the resource that we want updated. So we need just functions, right? We don't need it to touch the step functions. We don't need it to touch the HTTP API or the what else? Yeah. So if I run this, it goes ahead to update just the functions. If I have 1,000 functions, it just updates all the 1,000 functions. And then we can keep on, like, you can keep on streamlining our update, like the type of updates we want to do to the cloud. Take, for example, here, I made just, what happened was that this is updated. Let me add something to the message of the Ghana Lambda handler. So when I run this command, let me show you. When I ran this command, right, it updated all the functions in my application, but I've made just an update to the Ghana endpoint, and I want just this one. I don't want the hello world endpoint to be updated. So there's actually a command to update just this function. So that command is, we'll use the resource ID. So update that command to update the function. So the resource ID, let's go to our template and pick out the resource ID, which is this. So we have something, stack name, Ghana workshop code, and then we have source ID, and then we have the resource. So enter. And then yes. Now let's test it. Let's see if it actually, wait, was it? No, we made the update to, oh no, sorry. We made the update to Hello World Ghana. So the resource ID had to be Hello Ghana function. Sorry about that. But it's a lot faster, so it takes less than 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I was quicker, but you get the point. So let's go and test. I like testing. So hello Ghana, and this is updated. No, it's really fun now. I feel like I developed this thing. Okay, so yeah, we've now looked at the code option, we've looked at the resource option, we've looked at the resource ID option, and we can keep going, but let's look at I call it the tunnels of SAM Accelerate, where this guy just this function just watches over everybody, and when there's an update, it just does that update at once. If you make a code update, he automatically runs the command with the code option. If you make a configuration update, he does it just like that. If you make an update that requires the whole application to be deployed to the cloud, he automatically does that. So he's just watching it. You know how you do a watch when you're developing on VS Code, stuff like that, those plugins. So it just keeps on watching and then putting out the outputs as you go along. And when you first run this command, right, what it does is that it synchronizes, it makes sure that the application, the SAM app you have locally is equivalent to the same, to what's remote. So it first does that, and then now it starts monitoring your application as you build. So let's go ahead and look at watch, aka Thanos. So that's just me, hyping it up, but that's not how to call it. Sorry, don't do that. So first things first, no, not here. First things first would we have our SAM sync, of SAM sync or stack name, that, and then of watch. So the first thing here is that it will do, it will first build and deploy our application to the cloud. So it wants to make sure that what you have locally is an equivalent of what you have in the cloud, Yep. And the guy is a lot quicker too. Like, I really urge you folks to try it out, to try out SAM Accelerate. If you're building with SAM as your IAC, you try out SAM Accelerate, and then you see how how good it feels. It makes you feel when you're developing applications with it. You go a lot quicker. Just give it a little bit of time to sync, and then it will start monitor. So it will be like the night and day watchman of your SAM application. Now, on a normal basis, right, when I'm developing, the first command I run is SAM watch, then I just start developing and going. So it just keeps on updating. So I don't have to rerun the code option or the resource ID or the resource option. No, it just does everything automatically for me. But I had to show you guys I had to show you folks other options before getting to this. So it has actually done it, and it's now waiting. It has deployed successfully, then it's now waiting for me to just keep going. So I'll just keep typing on, seeing how it updates. So hello all, welcome to SAM Accelerate. Rosius. So once I hit save, SAM watch has to get down to business. Yes, I've hit save and it just updates. So it has finished syncing. So if I run what function, that's the hello world. If I run SAM, if I test my hello world endpoint, I should see the update I just did. Yeah. So you see, it just does it like that out of the box for you. Am I running out of time? I don't know how much time I have left. So, and he just stays there, running, making sure our application is in check. Let's go ahead and look at another command. I think, oh geez, 5 minutes. Okay. Let's look at the last command, which is really very important. We call the aggregated feedback command. So normally in your application, your serverless app is like like a black box, right? But you have to actually see what's happening inside the application so that you can actually see performance issues, or if there was an error, you can easily debug. And how do you arrive at that stage? You arrive at that stage by logging, by seeing logs. That's why in your application you have to have a good logging mechanism, logging and tracing, so that you actually know what's happening and you can easily solve issues with respect to your application. So let's go ahead and look at I'll just stop this watch. I'll stop the watchman, and then I'll look at the next command which is the SAM logs. SAM log, SAM logs actually comes also with SAM initially, but this is the updated version of SAM logs. So my stack name is Ghana workshop. Then, yeah, from this. Okay, great. So it's running, right? So let me go ahead and access an endpoint, this endpoint. I want to actually show, once I access the endpoint, let me show you how it updates automatically. Yep. So this is your log, this is your Lambda log. This is your Lambda log. Is that on? It tells me good. So let's look at 1 minute. What endpoint did I hit? I hit the hello world endpoint. So things are clouded on my screen. So so the API gateway actually tells us the endpoint, which we have just hit, which is get hello. And then it gives us a couple of useful information that we can use. Because if you notice, we have not even added logs to our Lambda application. So our Lambda handler. So, but it actually gives us a couple of things we can work with. So it tells us let me start from the start. Where are you? Yeah. So have 0 errors. Jeez, I'm also confused about. And then, yeah, it has the OK count. So he actually tells us that he hit that he made the request twice. And basically, it just gives us information as our application grows bigger and we do a lot of logging and tracing. The SAM logs will actually display useful information which we can use to debug our app. So I think with that said, I've come to the end of my workshop, and I'll be entertaining any questions that you folks have. Thanks for having me.
Hi, Rosius. So we have a question in the chat.
Yes.
It says, what resources do you recommend as an on-ramp for getting started with SAM and SAM Accelerate?
There's no better resource than the official AWS website resource. Just go to Google, type AWS SAM AWS SAM, and the first link that comes up is always from Amazon themselves. That's where you should start. That's where I always start with almost all the services that I've ever learned on AWS, because I feel like that's where everybody goes and then now breaks things down. Okay. So that's that's it.
All right. So Mubarak, go ahead and ask your question. Mubarak has his hand up, and go ahead and ask your question. Then Nathaniel will follow.
Hello, guys. Good morning.
Hi, Mubarak. Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Rosius. Thank you for this presentation. With the SAM accelerator, you talked about the 10 seconds. Is it dependent on the person's internet and then his PC that is running that will keep the 10 seconds count?
No. Because the thing is, when I saw this on the official blog for AWS, and they said 7 seconds, right? That was based on what they had run at their end. And now I'm running it on my own end and I'm seeing the same thing. So I don't think it's with respect to, even though maybe you're slow, but I don't think so, because it's quick. It's really quick. And I think once I'm not sure it's with respect to to your computer, because online they said 7 seconds, and when I run it on my own machines too, and my machine is not really that fast. It's just a normal MacBook, and it runs pretty quick.
Will Nathaniel go before I ask another question? Or?
Mubarak, you can ask your question, then Nathaniel comes.
Okay.
I like Mubarak.
Okay. You talked about the login. So
Yes.
is it linked? Can it be linked with the CloudTrail and then CloudWatch?
Exactly. It's just that I didn't explain it properly. It's actually linked with the trail, the CloudWatch, with your Lambda. You're not, because normally if you're building your applications, right, you have your logs. I don't know what login plugin you use, but you have your logs in that. It's linked with that, and it's linked with X-ray tracing too. So it actually gives you a detailed insight into how your Lambda function is, how it's working. So yeah.
Okay, and then my final question. Sorry, guys.
Right.
What's the name? You see the project we did at the workshop with Shake, the web app. So in case maybe you want to use the SAM accelerator to deploy it, how would that look like?
Yeah. Can you please, I apologize, I didn't go through the project myself, but I want to see the infrastructure, the infrastructure as code framework they used. Obviously, you can use it with, if I don't know what IAC he used, but you can actually use it with SAM too, if by just switching the IACs. I don't know if he used Amplify framework.
Rosius, it was just going through the console, right? The AWS console. So they didn't use any IAC.
Oh,
just click.
See, obviously you can rebuild this, you can rebuild that, using infrastructure as code. But now the advantage would be that since you're declaring your resources in IAC, you can come back to it later and see what the steps you had actually taken, and then you can actually share that with the team. So those are the advantages of using IAC over using the console to develop the application.
So Mubarak, maybe as a personal project, this week you can go back to that workshop and write the steps as or what you are supposed to do in that workshop as a SAM code. SAM is cloud formation for serverless, and so you can build the same project with the SAM templates. And like Rosius said earlier, there's documentation available on the AWS website. So if it's an API gateway, you have the code there and you can put in your own configuration. There's a Lambda function, all the fields you need are there as well. So maybe that should be a fun project to work on. And you can share in our newly created workshop channel on our Slack. So Mubarak, are you done with your questions or you have another?
No, please, that should go. Thank you.
Right, Nathaniel, over to you.
Thank you, Rosius.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so as a follow-up to his second question, so with the SAM log, so I saw that it helps you to track the performance of your application and all that. So I want to know, is it just local or it gets written to CloudWatch?
No, what you actually saw, the logs you actually saw, right? Oh, sorry.
Yes, I'm asking if the logs are just on your local machine, right? I just wanted to confirm.
No.
It's just
on
on
your
your local
machine. It's actually pulling from the cloud, right? I'm displaying it on your local machine where you're working, but it's getting it from the cloud.
So so is it that tracing is enabled by default for all SAM accelerator applications?
No. You do that in I actually enabled it. Nothing is actually, nothing is actually enabled for you out of the box. You have to do that yourself.
Yes, I just confirm. Okay,
yes,
sure.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then, so my other question is, So you can write tests for specific applications in specific languages to test let's say your API or something. I wanted to find out, does SAM also have any inbuilt testing tool? Like SAM Accelerate, does it have any inbuilt testing?
Actually, I'm using Python. I could use PyTest.
So you can use PyTest. Okay. So
Yes,
I was thinking there was
okay,
a generalized one that maybe regardless of your language you could use.
I don't know about maybe I can research on that, but I don't know about that. Yeah, because if I was using TypeScript, then I'll use Jest to write unit end-to-end and integration tests, acceptance, end-to-end or acceptance tests for my application. So it just depends on what runtime you're using. For Python, I'll definitely go PyTest because that's the most popular one, and that's what I know.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. I think my questions have been answered.
You're welcome.
So we have another question in the chat. It says that you mentioned that SAM is currently in beta, right? So
yes.
There's a question saying that just to avoid issues midway for a critical project, are there alternative stable services that can be used to achieve the same purposes?
Yeah, SAM is stable, but the SAM accelerate is not, so you can still use SAM. Or you can use the CDK.
Okay.
Or you can use the CDK, yeah.
Okay, but do you know when SAM will be GA, will be generally available?
I wish I knew, or I wish I could say anything, but it's always under NDA, so you cannot really say anything. Yes.
All right.
But believe me, I don't think I've used. I mean, normally it's not always advisable to use a better application or something which is in beta for production purposes. But I like taking risks and stuff like that because it was a personal project of mine. So your SAM Accelerate works like it's beautiful. I like it. So I've been using it. Mm-hmm.
Please, can you have an idea when it will release fully?
He just said that, doesn't have that information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very sorry. Very, very sorry.
If you have a challenge, like you said, you just go ahead and use your SAM build and SAM.
Yeah.
And
if you have a challenge with SAM Accelerate, right, that's a great opportunity for you to open up an issue on the official, because it's open source. Bring it up because that's what they actually want. They want you to have some issues and bring it up so that they can solve it and prepare it for its general availability.
Okay. Mubarak, I see your hand is up again.
Yes. So he talked about the SAM watch command.
Yeah.
It looks like I made that. He said is it for updating, and when he was updating, I think he copied the endpoint and he was testing and he saw, is it a live update or something? I don't know. I missed it.
I'm sure you got mixed up a little bit. So when I run the SAM watch, right, what SAM watch initially does is that it synchronizes your code to the cloud immediately, so that that's just for it to make sure that the code that it has locally is equivalent to what it has in the cloud. And then now it starts monitoring your app. So when you type and you press and you save Control S, right, it automatically updates. So you don't have to go and update it manually. And then as it automatically updates, that's where you usually saw the logs. And then for the part where I switched to the other terminal and then occurred the hello world endpoint, I'd already put up the SAM logs command. So when I occurred that and it hit the endpoint, it brought me back the logs, the traces, and everything. I'm glad this video is recorded, so I think you might watch it again later.
Awesome. Okay, so just a quick follow-up. So since it's watching and updating your local copy of the code, is it linked to Git? Maybe if you are using a versioning on your GitHub, can you is it possible to link your code to GitHub or the term to GitHub and then?
Yeah, if you want to link your code to GitHub, you actually run the Git commands, right? But this actually updates your code in the cloud on the AWS console and not in your GitHub account.
Oh, okay.
Yes. If I want to do it in my GitHub account, I have to run the Git add and then Git push, to push the updates there.
Yeah. Maybe just to expand a little, Mubarak, so in cloud or modern application development, we're encouraged to test with production resources, right? Okay. So some accelerate is just to enable the developer test whilst developing, right? You test to make sure everything you are doing will work when it's deployed. So this is the developers testing. So that's the workflow from your local machine to the cloud resources. Now, when you want to go to production, then you start looking at CI/CD and all that with the source control and all those things. So this SAM workflow is just to test your local development against the resources in the cloud.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Thank you so much. You're welcome. I don't see any hands up, and so I guess that will be it. Judith, we didn't hear from you. Just say hi and then we'll close.
Hi.
Hi, Judith. Okay, she said hi, so we can close. Or you want to ask a question?
No, please. Sorry.
Come again?
No, please, I don't have a question.
Okay, all right. And so thanks very much, Rosius, for taking us through SAM Accelerate. I think from your demo, it was clear to see the benefits, what SAM Accelerate is doing. I mean, as someone like when I'm developing, every line of code I write, I have to test it to make sure it works. And so if I have to do some build, some deploy for every line of code, you can imagine, right? Yeah. So definitely we can see that the problem is solving and what it's doing for us. So thank you very much. Like we said earlier, this is recorded, post on our YouTube channel. And so if you missed anything, you can always go back. And Mubarak, in the course of the week, would be building some templates from the workshop we did last week. I can't wait to see that as well. Let's keep this conversation going. On our Slack, I want everyone who was here to go and complete the project and then post a screenshot or an endpoint we can test from.
Exactly. I'd like to test.
Yeah, and I thought to let it be online for a while. Yes. So everybody should go and build this and then show it. Yeah, Rosius.
All right, so not to cut you short, and I remember that at the start of the workshop, I said I'll be sharing a link of an intermediate project, which I built with. So I've shared the link a couple of times in the chats, but let me share it again. So it's a babysitter app. It's an application, a proof of concept, the GraphQL API to help you find babysit nannies around you. So find somebody who offers nanny services, and somebody who offers nanny services find somebody who's looking for nanny services. So it has a single table design in it. It has SQS in it. It has a lot of lambdas and stuff in it. So I urge you guys to try it out, go through it, and if this tutorial if this workshop was really too low for you, and then that's something nice to jump on.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks very much. I'll be sharing the link in our Slack as well. So if you miss it here, you can go back and then check in our Slack. If you don't have if you're not part of our Slack, you can just message me whilst you are still here, and then I'll add you to the Slack. I'll share a link with you. So thanks once again, Rosius. I can't overemphasize that everyone should go and build this and show us that you've built it. I mean, the best way to learn is by doing. And so everyone who was here today should go and build this and demo it to us. Just maybe you can take a screenshot. If you can afford to let it be online for a while, why not? Other than that, after you are done, you take a screenshot and then destroy the resources, right? Okay, someone is asking for a Slack link, so I'll share the invite with you. All right, that's about it for today. Let's keep our channel active on Slack. We've added a new channel for development, right? So if you develop anything and want us to look at it, you can share with us. If you need us to review, you can also ask for that. So maybe you build some architecture and you need somebody to look at it and advise and all that. We can do that. Yeah. But let's put all these things in our Slack and keep it engaging. Other people may learn from what you are doing, and it may even inspire other projects from that, right? And so please, let's keep the Slack group active. Last week I heard that the Slack is not active, but it's your post and my post that will make it active. So let all of us post there, share resources, share ideas, ask for help. You know, if you have a job, you can post it there for someone. If you need a job, you can get in touch and see how to connect you and all that. So let's keep the Slack channel active. If you need help with the certification also, why not? We have channels for all these things I've mentioned. So thanks everyone for joining. I've posted the Slack channel, an invitation to the Slack. So anyone who's not there can look at the last message in the chat and then click on that link and join. And thank you everyone, and see you all soon. Let's keep the Slack active. All right.
All right, Emmanuel, thank you. Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome.
Rosius, thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you too, Edwin. Thank you.
Okay.